Welcome back to Adrian's Avenue. I'm Adrian, and today is the day that if you use credit cards, you want to be here for this one. As you know, and I've told you before, I use credit cards. I don't have anything against credit cards, but I use them to my advantage. And so we're going to talk about some of the traps that these credit card companies don't want you to know about. They will give you the information in the form of when they send the introduction out. There's pages and pages that you can read through. And pretty much nobody reads through these pages. Some people may read through the pages, but most of us, we don't read through the pages. I didn't read through my pages, but I have done some study on the credit card traps and tricks that they send out to you that you probably don't know. And so today, for educational purposes, we're going to hit a few of them so that you'll be better educated, that if you know how to use a credit card, first of all, and use it. If you don't know how to use a credit card, you can listen to this, but don't apply this because you need to get out of debt so that you can successfully learn how to use a credit card. But that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's jump right in. Now, for the most part, credit card companies make their money off of two areas in general, and that would be the fees that they charge you as well as the interest rate. And most of us know about the interest rate if you pay interest rate on your credit cards when you use them. I don't. But the fees that they charge you are astronomical, and they make tons and tons of money off of these fees that you're being charged, and you're paying for them. When things happen, they charge you a fee for it. And these fees, they make tons of money off of these fees that they charge you. And sometimes you don't know that these fees are actually being charged to you. You're just writing the check or writing the minimum amount and continue paying that. However, you're getting charged out the wazoo for some of these fees. Some of these fees are like an annual fee. Some of these cards charge you an annual fee to actually use the card. I don't pay annual fees to use anybody's card. Now, I know American Express is the one with the most fees that they'll charge you as far as an annual fee to use their cards. They have various cards and they have various rewards on the cards. And some people say it balances out and that type of thing. But I would rather not pay an annual fee to use a credit card or a charge card. Most of the MasterCards and Visa cards, unless you get into higher areas, they don't charge you an annual fee. And they will advertise this to their benefit that they don't charge an annual fee. But there are other fees that they do charge, such as they charge transaction fees, balance transfer fees, they charge convenient check advance fees, cash advance fees, cash equivalent advance fees, foreign transaction fees, U.S. bank extended pay fees, overdraft fees. They can charge you penalty fees such as late fees, return payment fees, and sometimes not, they'll charge you an over limit fee. But these are all fees that they have certain amounts on. You need to read the fine print to see when you transfer something, what kind of fee you're being charged for that. Even if you pay it off, if you do a transfer, they're going to charge you a fee for that. So read the fine print to see what your credit card company is charging you for and what you're actually paying for, because they make a ton of money off of these fees. Now let's talk about interest. When you get the card, there's going to be probably a range of interest. Some cards, the ones that I've been looking at these days, they range from about 19% interest up to 29% interest. The card that I currently have, I think I'm paying about 11 or 12% interest. I don't pay interest, but that's what's on the card. If I were to charge something and not pay it off by the end of the month, they would charge me that much interest on the balances left on the card. And so when we see these interest rates, some cards have variable interest. Most of them do, which means if the market rate changes, if the prime rate changes, or if your credit worthiness changes, they can change the interest rate that you are paying on that card. So it could possibly go from 19% interest to 25% interest or 29% interest because of something that either you did as far as credit worthiness or something that the market did that they could actually make more money. So they have written in these contracts the variable interest rates that they can actually change on you with an adequate notice but you can't refute the fact that, well, this is what you promised me and this is what I'm supposed to stick by, because some of them have these variable interest rates. And so just be aware of that. And this is something that they don't want you to know, because if you don't look at your statement, if you're just paying the statement, not looking at it, just paying it, you don't know what you're paying for. You need to look at what you're charging on that card every month to make sure that you put those charges on there and someone else didn't put those charges on there. I found a mistake on my mother's card. Her statement that came in, there was a charge for $89.99. She didn't remember it. We didn't remember it. We know that she charges at the grocery store, and pretty much that's all she charges. We called to find out someone had charged a home warranty on her credit card. And had we just written the check for it and not checked into it, she would have been paying that $89.99. And I think it comes across on a monthly basis. We put an end to that. So look at your credit card statements as well as the interest rate that you're paying on the balance that's left over if you don't pay it off by the end of the month. Now, the best thing to do, of course, you know what I'm going to say, pay it off by the end of the month, and you won't have to worry about the interest rate or these variable interest rates that's on these cards. As you're probably aware, the credit card companies will affect your credit score, and it affects it in a couple of ways. If you're making payments late, that will affect your credit score, because if it's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, that will be put on your credit report, and it'll affect your credit score. Your credit score will drop because of your inconsistent payments, late payments. That's not good for you. And so you want to make sure you pay those on time. Another way it affects your credit score is the amount that you have that's close to the limit on these credit cards. If you have over 30% on the credit card, it is going to rock your credit score a little in the wrong direction. I try to keep mine below 10% at any time during the month, because if the credit score is pulled on that day, it can be pulled on whatever day, but whatever day it's pulled on, if it's below the 10%, I'll get the advantage of it not affecting my credit score in a negative way. However, if it's pulled on a day that it's above the 10% or some 30%, it will affect your credit score in a negative way if it's above that percentage. And this can happen any day of the month that it is above or below. It just depends on when the credit score is pulled. So it does affect your credit score in a couple of ways, not just paying it on time, but also how much of the amount that they've given you that you've used. If your limit is $10,000 and you go over $3,000, you've used more than 30%, and it's going to affect your credit score. If you keep it below, and like I say, my magic number is 10%. I like to keep mine below 10%. If I'm going to charge something above 10%, I'll go ahead and make that charge, but then I'll write the check or send the money via electronic over to pay it back down, to get it back down. So I watch my credit cards like a hawk. I like watching them because it's my credit that we're talking about and things being charged on my account. So I do take a look at that. It takes only a minute or so to look at it. It's real easy. Don't stress out about that. But just know that it does affect your credit score. So you want to be concerned about that if you use the credit cards. You know what I want you to do. Hit that like button and that subscribe button so that you can stay up to date to the latest information as it becomes available to you. And you can drop a comment if you'd like. I'd appreciate that. I get promotional offers in the mail pretty much on a daily basis from Visa, from MasterCard, from American Express, from all sorts of companies that send me these promotionals in the mail. And what I normally do is shred them because I'm not interested in them. I have 2 cards that I work with and I'm satisfied with those 2 cards. I like the rewards that I get. I keep those 2 cards under control and it's not a problem. But if you get these offers in the mail, there's introductory offers, and normally they come out as 0% interest for 18 months, 12 months, whatever. And the thing that you just read real carefully, because there may be some fees in there. There may be some things that you cannot do, some charges that you cannot make. Read very carefully what these introductory rates are and what you can and cannot do with that. Also know that if you go over the 18 months, that some of this interest is retroactive. So they may go back 18 months and start charging you interest on those amounts. It may not start that month that you come out of that introductory period of zero interest. So pay attention to all of this stuff that's going on. Even the balance transfers, if it's zero interest and that type of thing, they may not be zero interest. Read the fine print so that you're not caught off guard. Credit cards can work in our favor. However, they can work against us if we don't read and understand what we're getting into when we get these cards. If you know how to use a card, use the card. I can use my card. I don't pay interest on my card. And yes, I will agree, it's easier to buy something with plastic than it is to send money out. But if I have an electric bill that I'm going to pay anyway, and it's going to come out of my bank anyway, if I have a gas bill that I'm going to pay anyway, it's going to come out of my bank anyway, why not go ahead, put it on the card? I could pay it off immediately, or I could pay it off when they send me the bill, and I'm not paying extra. I'm not paying over because I'm controlling how I'm using my credit card. If I have to buy groceries, I use my credit card for groceries. I got to buy them anyway. So why not go ahead and buy the groceries? And if I want to, when I leave the grocery store, if I want to come home and pay it off, I can come home and pay it off. But I'm not paying extra just because I have a credit card. So that is somewhat of a misnomer that some people put out, that that you buy more, you spend more if you limit yourself to what you use this credit card for. It doesn't have to be more because you're just using it in the place of sending cash or a debit card. You can still take the money out immediately after you leave the place that you just purchased, or the end of the week, however you want to do it. Just don't miss taking the money out and paying it off by the end of the month. You know, when that term is up, make sure you pay it off so that nothing carries over on a balance, because that's when it can hurt you. Now, I've saved the best credit card trap for last, because this one can actually lead you into some financial trouble. And that is, they want to make it ultra easy for you to charge things and very convenient. And so they offer this minimum amount of payment. I will tell you, if you pay the minimum amount and continue to charge on your card, you're going to likely get into financial trouble with these plastic cards. The minimum amount, they know that if you use that, they're charging interest on your balance. And some people pay that minimum amount, continue to charge. Next thing you know, you're up to your limit, and you have, instead of it being $40 a month, it will be $400 or $500 a month because you've hit that limit. Now they're asking you for more money. Then they have you, because they can change your interest rate from the 19% to the 29%, and you're paying much more interest. And it's hard to dig out of this. Very difficult to dig out of this. This is a trick of the devil. This is a trick that they play with you as far as making those small payments, thinking that you're getting ahead. They are taking major advantage of you. You're taking 2 or 3 years to pay off something that may have cost you, $100, $200, and you're paying interest on it. It may be 3 or 4 times that amount by the time you pay it off. When you continue to pile things on top of the balance, until it's out of control. And so if you're doing this, you don't need to use credit cards. You really need to get away from credit cards. Put them down, go on a cash type of system, do something like that. But you're in major trouble when you start doing that with credit cards. I don't advise anyone that do not know how to use credit cards, how to handle them, how to use them to your advantage, to use credit cards. It will be to your disadvantage, and it will get you into financial trouble. You want to pay your bills off. You want to get out of debt, and using these credit cards can get you into major debt if you fall into these traps, especially the one of making these small payments, because it's easy to make. It's very convenient for you. However, you continue to charge. You don't make the small payments till you pay it off. You make the small payments and continue to charge on these cards. This is a trap, and this is the biggest trap that they use. And this is the trap that makes them the most money with your money. So pay attention to all the things that we've discussed here. These are things that the credit card company don't want you to know about. They don't want you to consider, but I would say consider them all. Keep them in mind when you're using these credit cards. And by all means, if you do not know how to use a credit card, put the credit card down, pick up a debit card, get a cash system, do something, but don't ruin your financial health, your financial wealth behind that little plastic card.